Hello everyone, my name is Drago, and that's right, I'm telling you, do not max Joan Prime coming out this week on the Wheel of Fortune. If you want to find out why I'm saying that, stay tuned. Alright, welcome back everybody. Really appreciate you joining me on this video. Again, if you haven't done so, hit that like button. Consider subscribing. This is a sponsored content creation channel from the makers of Rise of Kingdoms. You get your daily content here, whether it's guides, tips, tricks, battle videos, how to fight better, all the juicy details inside of the Rise of Kingdoms universe. But let's jump into Joan of Arc. So Joan of Arc Prime's coming out this week alongside of the other new commander that's a garrison commander. We did a video on him last week. Link right above if you haven't seen that one just yet, but today's video is going to be about the other commander coming out this week, which is Joan of Arc Prime. Now, why am I telling you not to max Joan of Arc Prime? Well, it has to do with her skills. We're going to go over those skills today. We're going to talk about some talent trees. We're also going to talk about her best pairings. And again, like I said on my streams last week, I have a prediction and maybe bringing an old commander back and causing some significant damage and bringing him off the bench. But let's go ahead and jump into the actual skills really quickly and show you why you don't necessarily need to max Joan of Arc Prime unless you're doing a few things. Number one skill here, Sacred Banner. Deal skill damage up to 3 targets in a forward-facing fan-shaped area. We don't know if it's going to be a half circle or if it's going to be like a Sun Tzu fan. We'll figure that out as soon as she comes out this week. But damage taken if you hit multiple types of troops is reduced by 15% per target, just like most legendary AoE commanders. But here's the special thing that Joan provides. Not only is it a nice AoE damage nuke, but you also give you and 2 surrounding friendly troops 5% more damage bonus, and you gain 20 rage per second for 3 seconds. So the damage bonus is for 3 seconds, and 20 rage each second after you cast the skill. It doesn't matter if you're an infantry, a cavalry, or an archer, or a leadership, or a garrison, or a rally person. It doesn't matter if you've labeled yourself those things. You want to have this on the field very similarly to William's buffs and debuffs that he provides. That's why he's so universal. Everybody should have him. Same thing for Joan Prime here because of her primary skill here. Now, what makes her special is that you can take this skill and cast it twice using her 4th skill, the Blessed. So you have cavalry units led by the commander gain 10% more health while on the map. That's nice. But the cool thing is the second part. When the secondary commander of their troop uses an active skill, they have a 100% chance to cast Sacred Banner again. We just went over Sacred Banner. It gives you tons of damage. It gives you more damage to you and your allies. In addition, this provides more rage not just for you, but for the other 2 people that get this buff in the first place, and you're casting it twice. So you get to have both of those benefits 2 times every 10 seconds, which is the refresh timer on the 4th skill. Now, to make it every 10 seconds, you have to have the right commander pairings and sync things up perfectly. In the real world, you're probably looking like this firing off every 11 to 15 turns, assuming you're able to keep your rage cycle going. There is a way, and I have done some testing, where you can get to that 10-second timer by yourself without any external rage buffs. If you're getting external rage buffs from Trajan, from Joan, regular Joan, from, other types of commanders that share rage bonuses, like William, another prime example, they can reduce the skill cycle timer to get closer and closer to this firing off every 10 seconds. But again, in the real world, typically you're looking at that 11 to 15 second gap between this firing off the first time and this firing off again and then again and then again and then again. So the 2 skills in between, 100-Year Dawn, cavalry units led by this commander gain 20% attack, which is good. I mean, it's not like amazing, but it's good. And you get a 10% march speed bonus. Again, good, but not amazing. Now, when you're outside of Alliance territory and you're using cavalry units, you get another 10% bonus. Now, we know how movement speed works in this game. If you're outside of Alliance territory, it doesn't mean where your march physically is. It means where you're targeted. or if you're stationary, then it means where your march physically is. So for instance, if you see a movement speed buff where it says on Alliance territory or off Alliance territory, it all has to do with where you drag and drop your march. If you are returning it back to your city, you are considered on Alliance territory. That's why you get the innate movement speed buff whenever you do that, because it automatically triggers the fact that you're on Alliance territory in KVK. If you're off Alliance territory buffs like this one, if you return your marches to your city just by hitting the R button on the PC client or hitting the back arrow on your actual march, you won't get this secondary march speed buff because you're going to Alliance territory. Even if you're off Alliance territory currently, you still are technically on Alliance territory based on your target. Just a quick fact, quick tip, pro tip. You also get, in addition to all those bonuses, you deal 5% more normal attack damage, which is good. It's not great. Again, it's just good. Okay? So all of these things are just good. If you only had this level 1, you get a 5% cav attack bonus, 2% march speed bonus, another 2% march speed bonus off territory, and a 1% normal attack damage bonus. The difference is not so massive that it's like, oh my goodness, I have to max the skill. Every skill you add into this obviously will be a benefit, but it's not a must max. Like, say, the 4th skill here, where you want to have a 100% chance to cast the Sacred Banner skill twice. Again, obviously, Sacred Banner, the primary skill of Joan of Arc Prime, you definitely want to have this max to cause maximum damage, restore maximum rage, and cause maximum damage bonuses. The 3rd skill, Return of the Saint. I know we're hopping all over the place, but there's a storyline to tell with these skills, so I want to make sure that I'm going in the order that it makes sense for you guys. Cavalry units led by this commander deal 5% more damage overall when attacking troops. That's good. When using skills, troops led by this commander gain a buff that increases normal attack damage dealt by 30%. Most people are like, oh my god, 30%. And so it's for 1 second. It's for 1 second, guys. Let's calm down. It's for 1 second. Okay, so while it is nice, 30% attack, but that's Attila numbers, guys. That's Attila numbers, and that's why a lot of people were like, oh my goodness, maybe Attila will work really well with Joan of Prime. It's really, really good. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. We'll go into that during the pairing section of this video. Calm down. But it's for 1 second. Okay, so you'll see a nice big white number for 1 second pop up, and then it'll go back down to the normal number. So, again, is this a must-max skill? I would say no. Again, you're going to get a 1% bonus instead of 5% for the overall cavalry damage bonus, and then a normal attack damage bonus of 10%, which is still pretty strong. It's double a max second skill. Just saying. And then again, you can get it up to 30%, but again, it's only for 1 second, so it's not like gangbusters on, oh my goodness, I've got to have this. What I recommend as we go into this expertise skill is 5 something something 5. The reason I say you don't need to max her is because those 2 skills in the middle aren't really necessarily that crazy. You don't have to have them. And then as we look at this expertise and read it, Unyielding Martyr, troops led by this commander deal 5% more counterattack damage. When the target troop has more than 30% of units remaining, troops led by this commander deal 5% more damage. So there's a lot of little 5% more damage, 5% more damage, 5% more damage. Those are really good. All damage buffs are always the best. You definitely want to get those. But do you want to spend almost 400 sculptures getting a max expertise skill here to just get 5% counterattack damage and 5%, all damage? Like, is that worth it? Especially to the normal average player who has been trying to keep up with the current meta of commanders coming out. You've got Nevsky, you've got Scipio Prime, you've got Boudica Prime, you've got all these new commanders that people are just like, oh my goodness, I've got to have. You got Flavius. I mean, all these things, right? So you have to kind of start to be smart with your sculptures. And in my opinion, unless you are a rally lead or a garrison lead, you don't really need to max her right away. Certainly you can spin her on the wheel and eventually get her maxed. Any additional skill you add into the 2nd and the 3rd skills here will give you a benefit. I just don't think they're going to give you as much benefit as the 1st and the 4th skills. Obviously, the 1st and the 4th skills really is where her major damage is coming from. You do get the levels that you get. So again, to get to 5 on the 4th skill, you got to go 5-1-1-5 at least. So you'll get something from these as you're working your way towards getting the 4th skill maxed. Obviously, very difficult to do. You're going to have to use some skill resets. Not an easy task to do, and you got to get a little lucky with the RNG. But this is the way to go, in my opinion, because the expertise just isn't worth. And again, if you get her to like 5225 or 5235 or whatever it takes to get her 1st and 4th skill maxed, stop. Just stop. Use the wheels as you decide you want to spend your gems going forward to eventually max her. Sure, that's great. But if you don't have Nevsky maxed, if you don't have William maxed, if you don't have XY at a usable level, I would just say keep it. Like, keep it where it's at. I would much rather have those commanders maxed than Joan of Arc Prime maxed. So that's what I'm talking about when I say don't max her just yet. There's a more efficient way to do it, in my opinion. You'll get like 85 to 90% value, 5 something something 5 instead of maxed. All right, so as far as talents go, I've brought up Saladin because he has the cavalry and support tree just like Joan Prime does. I've got 2 builds to show you that I really like, so you'll be able to kind of figure out which way works best for your playstyle. But this is your kind of default, I think. You got 2 out of 3 on the Rejuvenate skill. Again, 100 Rage on skill cast is going to be perfectly fine. 150 isn't really necessary. You're going to already be at that Rage cap, especially considering Undying Fury is already good to go. I am a big proponent of hitting Rage cap as often as possible, but then there's the point where you're guaranteeing yourself the ability to hit the Rage cap or not. So this is really the chance where you can save a point and put it somewhere else. And what I've done is I've put them into Undying Fury. I've put them in Emblazoned Shield, giving you the skill damage reduction taken. You also have lots of march speed bonuses on the Cav tree. You have Rejuvenate, like we said before, Loose Formation, reducing your skill damage taken. And again, Emergency Protection, giving you a 50% chance to get a 15% skill damage taken reduction buff for 3 seconds. That's really, really nice to have. And then these 2 little ones here add up to a total 1% health bonus, which is always nice as well. The other build I want to show you is one where we go into full Cav tree. I even went to Equestrian Excellence just because movement speed is really, really good in this game, guys. The faster you can move, the faster you can attack, pull back, you can control what you're doing on the field. That's a very good thing. And also, again, getting Rallying Cry increases all damage dealt by 15% during the first 10 seconds of entering battle. Now, why is that good? Well, again, in a murder ball, typically, you're going to be going back and forth quite a bit. There's going to be a lot of engaging and then disengaging. That resets this 10-second timer every time that you do that if you haven't been fighting for like 2 seconds or so. So if you're attacking something for 15 seconds, you're going to get 10 seconds out of that 15 of the bonuses that Rallying Cry provides, that 15% damage increase. And then you disengage, and then 4 seconds later, you start attacking again. You'll get this 10-second buff again for the next target that you're attacking. Now, if you immediately shift, like if you're attacking something for 15 seconds, and then before it dies or before you pull back, you switch to another commander and start attacking it, this will not reset. So that means that you're going to be getting a little bit less value from this, and you may want to end up using the other build that I'm showing you right now. So again, if you want that type of benefit, you're going to gain the 10 seconds of 15% all damage. You're going to gain Disarm, which is a nice 10% chance to reduce enemy attack by 20% for 2 seconds. And again, you're going to gain some more March Speed, 10% chance to increase March Speed by 15% for the next 2 seconds. This triggers off quite often. I do have 3 in to Rejuvenate, just because I don't really have anywhere to put the extra point. You can put another point here to get a 0.5% health if you want to. But just in case you get like super debuffed on your rage or something, this would trigger in, but it's a minority thing. So again, I like this build as a default. This one gives you a little more damage overall at the cost of some protection from emergency protection. On Joan Prime, her yellow tree here is the versatility tree, which is absolute garbage. No points need to go into it. It's just the worst. Don't even do it. Just focus on these 2 trees here and just make the build your own. I mean, I think these are 2 really good, solid starting positions for you to start off with. But if you want to customize it a little bit, you certainly can. You can do it a bunch of different ways, but it depends on what you're pairing Joan Prime with. And speaking of pairings, let's jump into that. Okay, so let's talk about some pairings. I'm going to start with the ones that I really think will perform the best. And then we'll go through some of the other pairings that will make sense as well, depending on what you may or may not have maxed in the game for your specific account. So with XY being up right now, to me, this is actually the best commander you can pair Joan Prime with. XY primary, Joan Prime secondary. In my testings, and again, I will do a video on this later in the week, in my testings on how Joan Prime's 4th skill syncs up with the skill rotation, the best commanders to do this with is going to be commanders that have reduced rage requirements, like what XY has, a 900 rage requirement reduction. Also having a 50 rage requirement reduction on his 4th skill as well turns this primary skill into an 850 rage requirement. That means you're going to be casting your first skill at 5, 6, 7 seconds instead of the 8, 9, 10, 11 seconds that most regular commanders have, which means you're going to be doing more skill damage more quickly, which means you're going to be firing off this skill in addition to 2 sacred banners more quickly. That's always a good thing, and to me, this is why XY is going to be one of the best pairs for Joan Prime, in addition to all the bonuses that XY provides and syncs up with Joan Prime 4. Obviously, Nevsky being one of the best Cav commanders in the game makes him a prime candidate to be a pair with Joan Prime. I would do Joan Prime primary and then have Nevsky secondary, just simply because I favor the support tree over the skill tree from a talent standpoint. That being said, you can do it either way. It doesn't really matter. I do like the fact that maybe you're going to get double AoE nukes as a secondary, having Joan Prime secondary right off the bat. Nuke, nuke, nuke. That's really, really nice as well. So if you want to go Nevsky and then Joan Prime secondary, you can do it that way too. Either way is fine, but I do like the pairing of Nevsky with Joan Prime just simply because they're 2 of the best Cav commanders in the game right now. Now here comes my "what are you doing" pick. Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan. He is a benched commander. I mean, he's from season 2, so he's an older commander. You get him early on, and generally once you hit Season of Conquest, you've kind of given up on him in favor of, again, the commanders we just talked about. XY, Nevsky, we've got Saladin, we've got Bertrand, we've got Chandra, we've got William, we've got all these commanders are really, really good. I wanted to pop Genghis Khan in here though, because just like I said with XY, his rage requirement is lower than normal. So it starts at 950, but then he also has a 100 rage requirement reduction on his 2nd skill. So this effectively, again, just like XY, is an 850 rage requirement. This fills the criteria for why XY is so good. The only downside to Genghis versus XY is that Genghis's AoE doesn't exist. He has a single target skill damage right here, and it's a little bit lower than XY's damage overall too. Now, the cool thing about Genghis Khan, though, is his expertise. So when troops led by this commander consist of only cavalry units, using Chosen One, which is the first skill here, has a 30% chance to cast again. Didn't we just talk about a commander that does this very same mechanic? Oh yeah, it's Joan Prime. So technically, and I'm going to make a build video for this, be prepared once I get her out and I start testing her, Genghis Khan primary with Joan Prime secondary, you have the chance on your first set of nukes to fire off 4 nukes. It's going to be the quad nuke build. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be something you're going to see on the field. It's going to bring Genghis Khan back from the bench if you're in the situation like me where I favor cavalry commanders on my main 916 account. Now, on my main 307 account, I don't have so many Cav commanders. I have 3. So I'll have XY, Joan Prime, Nevsky, William. That'll be my set. I'm good to go. I do have Genghis Khan maxed there too, but I don't want to start leaning my archer infantry account too heavily towards cavalry. But you really can't do something wrong with that situation because they're doing so much damage. They're mobile. That's why cavalry have been so successful in Rise of Kingdoms from day one. But this is actually a really good pairing in my opinion. And again, the ability to fire off 4 skills in the matter of 8 seconds, that's really strong. That's really, really strong. So to me, this is kind of the way to go, or an option for you to go, especially if you don't have max XY, or you're using XY with Honda, or you don't have a max Nevsky, or you're using Nevsky with William, or all those things, right? So to me, this is a good pairing. Other pairings that you should focus on as well. Thalden certainly will provide Joan Prime with a little bit of tankiness. She does not have much tankiness, and just like Genghis Khan earlier, he doesn't have tankiness either. So if you use that Khan Joan Prime pairing, it's a glass cannon, guys. It will melt. But Saladin provides that innate tankiness. Obviously, he has the skill damage taken reduction of 30%, which is always on. He has a good nuke that reduces the march speed and healing effects of your target. He's got defense and attack and march speed bonuses. Saladin primary with a support tree, just like we showed earlier in the talent build section. This is very, very strong as well, and will provide Joan Prime a little more tankiness and maybe keep her on the field a little bit longer, which is always helpful as well. Of course, another fantastic pairing is going to be William. It would be Joan Prime primary, William secondary is the way you would want to pair these two up if you decide to go that route. All the benefits that you would normally expect from a cavalry commander with the bonuses to attack, to march speed, damage bonuses when outside of Alliance territory, which syncs up with the outside of Alliance territory bonuses that Joan Prime gets. Very, very strong there. Also extra nukes from William too. So technically, William could be a quad nuke commander as well if you think about it. He does have a 10% chance to inflict direct damage on the target of 1,000, and whenever you have him expertised, it's 1,000, and you have the ability to get a bonus damage to surround whenever you are attacking the target. So if you're surrounding your target, it's 100 damage times how many marches are swarming that target, which for you should at least be 5, if not 7. The maximum here, though, is 5. So 500 plus 1,000, it's an extra 1,500 damage factor nuke, which is almost what Genghis Khan has going for him. And this can actually fire off more than once. There is no timer on it. As you can see, I don't see a refresh timer on this going off. It just says while on the map, cav units get 30% attack, and normal attacks have a 10% chance to inflict direct damage to the target. If the target's surrounded, it will take extra damage, maximum 500 damage. There's no timer. It doesn't say this effect can only trigger once every 8 seconds or 5 seconds. It doesn't say it, okay? Fourth skill here, again, you do have more rage, which is always good for Joan Prime. And again, Hidden Bloodline hits the target. You get a 20% increased defense bonus for you and nearby allies whenever you are hitting with multiple targets on Hidden Bloodline, which again is the first skill. So when this goes off, if you hit 2 targets, you're giving yourself, you're giving allies more buffs. You also have the skill damage debuff on the target as well from his first skill. It's just a really good pairing. In fact, I mean, this might be one of your top pairings. Honda is also, again, always an option. You would want to go Joan Prime primary with Honda Tadakatsu secondary, again, providing more tankiness, using his expertise skill, reducing normal attack damage by 30% from attacks for 57 turns. That's really strong. Plus, again, a troop capacity bonus increase of 10%, a damage taken reduction factor of 5%, march speed bonuses of 20%. I mean, just all stacks up to be a very, very good pairing with Joan Prime. You can slide Takeda in here, but I think you're losing a lot of damage by going Takeda here. I really don't think he's a relevant commander open field anymore unless you're still pairing him with Attila. Otherwise, I don't think you should be putting Takeda with Saladin, with Joan Prime, with Chandra, with any of these other commanders that you're trying to add tankiness to anymore. It does provide that benefit, but again, you're basically losing a second set of damage, which is critical on open field battles. You need as much damage output as quickly as possible. Takeda is all about slow, steady damage. It's not what you're looking for on the open field going forward, unless you're just trying to get maximum tankiness and maybe a little bit of additional debuff capability with Fierce's Fire. And finally, Jan Ziska. I mean, you can technically put Jan secondary, and it's not bad. You have a 2250 damage factor deal here whenever your troops have less than 50% of units remaining. Also, it increases based whenever you get to the expertise. This is half. Most of his skills are half on the map, half garrison. So you get a 15% attack bonus when you're not garrisoning. All the other skills are garrison skills. You get a 10% normal attack damage reduction on the map and all the time, but the rest of it's garrison skills. The normal debuff, the normal buff debuff is the garrison portion of this setup. Fourth skill, you get 20% cav health. When launching a normal attack, they have a 10% chance of gaining a buff that increases their normal attack damage dealt by 20% for 3 seconds. This stacks fairly nicely with all the normal attack bonuses that this could actually be another little mini Attila Takeda pairing if you decide to go that route, with a little bit of nuke as well. So, I mean, it does kind of work out, and I do plan on testing this as well on the field, just simply because I'm going to be maxing Jan anyway for my main 916 account for garrison purposes, and I'm going to have at least 5 on Joan of Arc Prime when she comes out for field fights in the KVK that I'm in for 916 too. So I'm going to be able to test these things out and see which ones are going to work best for you, but those are my recommended pairings before they come out this week. Make sure you understand what you've learned in this video, though. You don't have to max her if you're using her for open field only, at least right off the bat. Certainly max her eventually. I think she will gain some bonuses At the end of the day, you're losing 5% damage from here. You're losing 4% damage from here, the normal attack bonus here, but you're not losing a whole lot of all damage by not having the first and second skill here. You'll lose 4% all damage here, so 9% all damage, some normal attack bonuses for 1 second, or on this skill for 1 second. On this skill, it ends up being just a bonus all around whenever you have, when you're off Alliance territory. I mean, these are the things that you'll get eventually, but I think that you don't have to max her unless you absolutely just have the extra sculptures, or again, if you're a rally or a garrison lead, just in case she's meta for either or both of those setups. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope it's been helpful. I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers, have a good one, and take care.